Hello everybody, it's Kate Spencer. I am a writer, a healer, an intuitive and an energy worker, and I'm also the founder of Life and Soul Academy. If you want to find out more about that, then there will be links underneath this video that you can click to find out more. So I'm going to talk to you today about my perception of the energy that we are coming into in March 2021. I've made some notes, so it may at times look like I am reading the news, but it's not. It's the cosmic news, according to me. Always take what you need from me and from anyone else who talks about this kind of thing. Take what resonates with you and know that you are your own best expert. So the themes for the month, and I've sat with this, I've tuned in, I've meditated, and I've got a feel for what I consider the themes of the month to be, and they are as follows: sensitivity and self-care, transition and new cycles and seasons, growing, shedding and planting, integrating lessons of the past, and rebirth, starting over and rising up. So there's different energies in there. There's one of shedding and kind of letting go of what does not serve you in order to lighten your load and to rise up and grow. So let's take a deeper dive into that. So as we step into March, we're just coming out of the energy of the full moon on February the 27th, and it will still be with us. There's like an energetic hangover of that. And this brings a lovely calm feeling to closing off February and to the beginning of March, which is very, very welcome, because February has been very intense for many of us, and energy-wise across the planet. We've observed a lot of different things. So it's been a bit contradictory, February. In some instances, it's felt like there's definitely a lot of positivity, and in some instances, it's also felt quite heavy as well. And it's had that kind of intensity, that up and down feeling. And if you're an empath, if you're a sensitive person, you're going to have felt that on a really, really deep level. So this full moon that rounds off February brings a relief with it, and brings a nice calm energy, or a calmer energy, as we step into March. And it feels like things are starting to settle. And I wonder if you're feeling that way too. It feels energetically and also in our lives as a reflection of that things are starting to settle. So the full moon that I'm talking about at the end of February is about hope, looking forwards, and positive change. And the reason I mention it, although we're talking about March, is, as I've said, there's that kind of energetic hangover because it's right at the very, very end of February. So it feels like change is on the horizon, and it feels like there's a positive change, but a calmer energy coming in for us, and that is always beneficial. So this energy will be with us as we move into March, and as we move towards the 13th of March, where there's a new moon in Pisces, and that can make us super, super sensitive. So heads up on that as we get closer to that new moon. It's especially going to make you sensitive to your environment. Now, you might think of your environment as simply the space that you live in, the space that you inhabit. And that is, of course, part of it. So if you think about that in terms of clutter, in terms of colour, in terms of light, in terms of sound, but it's also the vibration of anything else in your environment. So it could be a text message, it could be stuff on the news, it could be anything that comes into your awareness is coming into your environment. So being aware that you're going to be more sensitive than usual around that time is probably going to be a good heads up for you. It means as well that you can exercise more discernment, you can filter who you spend time with. If you have people in your world who are triggering for you, or who sometimes pull on your energy and need a bit of extra support, it's going to be better to have less contact with those people around that time. And that act of self-care and kindness to yourself can also protect relationships. If you know that you're going to be super sensitive and you're likely to react if they go into an old story, or they hit a button that's going to trigger you, then it's good to be able to know that and to be able to withdraw from that bit. It's also a time when you're going to feel really sensitive that you may want to massively increase your self-care. Now, we talk about self-care a lot in my Life and Soul Academy, and we talk about it. It's not optional, especially if you're a person who is sensitive to energy. It's not optional, because if you don't look after yourself, you show up in a totally different way, and the people around you, boy, do they know about it. So self-care is not optional. It's really, really necessary. And the good thing about self-care, well, there's lots of good things, but one of the good things about it is, as you step into it and you start doing more of it, and you protect your energy and you show your energy up more, you can access your gifts much more easily. So this is going to be stuff like intuition. It's going to be stuff like empathy. It's going to be positive emotions. It's going to be motivation. It's going to be you feeling more filled up and happier, which means your vibration will be higher, which means you'll be able to attract more of what you want and less of what you don't. But it also means that you're going to feel better and you're going to be a nicer energy to be around. So self-care gives you back that energy, gives you back that spark. And I'm talking about things like boundaries. I'm talking about getting enough sleep, eating better, having enough water, making sure that you get time outside in nature, making sure that you have a good work-life balance as best you can, and really looking after yourself. Investing in you is really investing in everyone. So make sure that around that time that you've got it on your radar that you may be a bit more sensitive. So the next point that I want to make is we are all transitioning into a new cycle, and we know this on a really practical and experiential level as individuals and as a collective. And as we build up to the full moon on March the 28th, which is also known as the worm moon, and that's got an awful kind of connotation, hasn't it? But it's about the soil warming up and the birds feeding and spring and the animal kingdom coming to life. So it's actually a lovely metaphor if you look at it that way. And spring is all about new beginnings, isn't it? It's about rebirth. It's about the bulbs that have been in the soil starting to peep through the soil and the snow and starting to grow. And that's lovely, isn't it? Because that's about dormant stuff that's been there that we haven't allowed to grow. And that's an amazing metaphor for us. So as I'm speaking, again, take what you need. But is there stuff that is lying dormant within you? Are there talents? Are there skills? Are there wishes? Are there hopes? Are there dreams that you really want to ignite and that you want to nurture into growth? So we're being asked to go within in different ways as we work towards that full moon and the completion of this cycle. So the worm moon is something that marks the end of winter, and it's about spring. So it's about rebirth, it's about growth, and it's about starting to thrive again. So it's not surprising that the themes this month are transition, growth, new cycles, shedding the past, planting for the future, and they are all really, really relevant. So the time between the new moon and the full moon is where you are invited to immerse yourself in that transition. And transition can be messy. Transition might be really looking at your wounds. It might be looking at what you need to release in order to allow that growth. And when we think about that, it's uncomfortable for us as humans, because sometimes it's about releasing situations or releasing people that do not serve us. And that can feel mean, it can feel difficult, and your human self might really panic about this. But the thing to remember is, it's kind of the opposite of law of attraction, because law of attraction draws like for like energy together. When there is less attraction or energetic dissonance, you can find that you want to move away from people or situations, because in human terms we would say they no longer fit. And if it doesn't fit for you, equally it doesn't fit for them, even though they might not be able to see it as clearly as you, or you might feel it because you're energy sensitive in a different way. So it's about releasing that person or that situation as well as releasing you. And that is an act of kindness and courage. And sometimes it's something that you have to step into and rip the plaster off and do straight away if you know that this is the best thing to do. Or sometimes it's something that you have to just slowly disconnect from. But this is a period of time where you're being asked to transition. You're being asked to look at what you need to let go of, what's been weighing you down, what's been sabotaging you, what's going to stop you from growing and rising up, and being really honest about that, And that can be painful, and it can be something that we avoid doing through ego because we are in fear, or also because we fear the consequences, or we fear being judged. But you can only get into your authenticity, into your lane, when you can be brave enough to do this. And if you can't do this, then you're always going to be living in obligation and living in fear of being judged and living a life that you didn't come here to live. And I know that it's hard, but this last year especially, everything's been shaken up like a big snow globe. And for a long time, life was like totally unrecognizable, as all of these pieces of life were in the wrong order and we couldn't do what we wanted to do. And it's really been very, very intense, and it's magnified who we are. And as things start to settle now, we can get more clarity. Our values have shifted. We've shifted as individuals and as a collective. And now it's time to look at where you want to go, who you want to be. Plant those seeds, and as they start to come through the soil and through the earth, choose which ones you want to nurture, and choose which ones it's perhaps time to let go of. And although that sounds difficult, let your gut guide you. Get in touch with your higher self and do your work. Meditate on it. The more self-care, as I've said earlier, that you engage in, the easier this is going to be. And it's going to be an act of great kindness for you and other people. So transition is about shedding the old, planting seeds for the future. Everyone is undergoing some kind of reevaluation. Everyone, all of us. And you have permission to change. There's a strong energy here about you stepping into your lane and you becoming who you came here to be. And this is part of the new consciousness and the new energy that is coming to earth at the minute. But you have permission to do that. You don't have to stay in that old stuck paradigm of your family, of humanity, of your culture, of the collective. You can be who you came here to be. And the only person that can give you permission to change is you. Being authentic means living your truth, finding your new truth and aligning in your life in practical ways. So what is it that you really want to do? And what is it you want to stop doing? What does the new version of you want you to stop doing or want you to start doing? How do they want you to behave? Who do they want you to associate with? And what is your purpose here, right now? And know also that the only thing that you can do is the next best thing, the next thing that feels right. So don't fast forward too much. Be present. Get into your gut and into your core and ask yourself, what is the next right thing that I need to do? And let the answer come. Allow the shake up, allow things to settle in new ways for you, because this is going to lead to new opportunities and to rebirth. Old ways and old paradigms continue to collapse. This is happening on a global scale, but the first law of the universe is as within, so without. So the outside is reflecting what's going on with us. So our personal transition is happening along with the transition that's going on around us too. So as we resist this, we will suffer as we resist change. So it's about looking at the changes that you see around you and about allowing yourself to evolve also, and allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to step into the light and to be seen for who you are in all of your awesome and all of your glory. So what ideology or beliefs are holding you hostage? What in your world are the paradigms and are the structures that need to be let go of? Just as we see so much antiquated thinking and so many paradigms around us falling, what's your personal experience of that? What do you need to let go of? Where can you be more open? And what is sabotaging you? It's time to excavate what you believe and ask what the cost is of this. So really looking at ourselves, shining a light on who we are becoming and allowing this change to happen, this transition. And in order to do that, we've got to get really honest. We've got to look at our own shit and we've got to claim it and shine a light there and be able to illuminate what it is that we need to let go of. You get to choose what you think, what you make things mean, and the direction that you go in and who you are becoming. You only need permission from you. Shedding burdens of the past is the theme. As we plant seeds for the future, we need to simplify, we need to lighten our load. And this can be deep and profound, and it can call for healing. And remember that everything that you do for you individually also works for everyone else. So your own journey to healing, everything that you can release, all the sabotage, all the self-reproach, the guilt, the shame, the fear, the ego, the judgment, as you work on that and as you get into your own shadow and as you work on your own stuff, you are releasing stuff for everyone, because we are all connected. So healing your wounds, it can be really messy, and that's why we avoid it. But at the minute, the energy in between the super sensitive and super aware time that we have coming in mid-March, and then that lovely full moon rounding off at the end of March, is going to facilitate this for you. It's certainly going to be a big asset. So I hope that this helps. I hope this helps you to navigate the energy of March. And in summary, it's about feeling probably way more sensitive to your environment around the middle of March. So more self-care. It's about the transition and the new cycle, growing and shedding stuff that does not serve you, so that you can step into that new cycle of rebirth and of regrouping, of new beginnings and opportunity and spring. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you soon. Lots of love. Goodbye, goodbye.